welcome to the first video on my YouTube channel all about names. It's something that I have been really interested in ever since I was small. My parents had like one of those name books that you would flip through, and I would just sit for hours and read all about the meaning of names and the history of the names and make little lists of names that went together. So recently I was thinking, you know what, like, why don't I just set up a few little videos where I put together some lists of names with different themes. So that's what we're doing. Here is the first list that I've put together, and it's all girls' names sort of focused on nature. So that's the overall theme. So plants, seasons, and weather. I've tried to focus on names that are more likely to be popular now, but not too popular. So there's a few unusual names in there as well, in no particular order too. So I find that if you make a list in alphabetical order, it can sort of, it'll make you more biased towards not liking certain names because you can kind of tell what's coming next. But if you have a list that's sort of mixed up and a little chaotic, then there might be a name or so in there that'll pop out, and it might help you see it in a different way in relation to other names that you hadn't thought of considering before. So first up is a classic, easy to spell as well, which is a bonus. It's Lily, so L-I-L-Y, and there's lots of variations on Lily as well. Lillian, Lilith, Liana, those sorts of names, yeah, they're pretty safe to go to. Sorry, just fix my camera up a little. Keel, that's better. Then the next one, Jasmine, another classic. It's pretty common. Well, at least it was maybe, what is it now? Like 25 years ago, so I guess it's not that common anymore. Maybe it'll make a comeback. These sorts of nature names are becoming more popular with people wanting to get more in touch with the natural world. So Jasmine, yeah, that's another good one. Iris, enough said, is beautiful, short, simple, sweet. Sage as well has a very different energy to it. Sage, we see a herb, and it's medicinal too, so that's something nice about it as well. Just sort of the idea of the medicinal herb. Ivy, it's kind of becoming a bit more trendy over the last few years. Heather, very soft name, Heather. Not so much popular here in Australia, but I guess overseas, yeah, it gets used, so that's another one. Holly, Leilani. Sorry, going back to Holly. So Holly is a great name, especially if you're wanting to name something in relation to the season. So if it's a child that you're looking to name, if they're born around December or you know, the Christmas season, Holly is a nice one to consider. Leilani means child of heaven or heavenly flowers, and that's a Hawaiian name. So again, not so popular here in Australia, but a really beautiful name. And you spell that one Leilani. So Leilani, Leilani. Willow. Now that's one that's really popular at the moment too. I've noticed a few babies, friends that I know, just people that I see, kids that I meet, Willow is a really trending name, but for good reason. It's a great choice. Fern, not so popular, but still, you know, it's of that similar vibe. Fern, I think, is one of my personal favorite names. I don't think I would really use it, but you know, I wish that I could. It'd be great. Fern, F-E-R-N, nice and easy to spell too. Violet as well, that's a classic, very popular over the last few years, and popularity isn't always a bad thing. You know, sometimes it's good to have, you know, a name that other people have as well. You don't want to have to be constantly spelling your name out to people on the phone. Okay, so this one, again, very common, but I guess it's more of a classic sort of name. So it was big, it's been big for a long time. and it doesn't really show any signs of slowing down. It's just a classically beautiful name, and there's lots of variations of it as well. So that's Rose, and the variations that I've got listed here are Rosalie, Rosalind, and Rosie, but there's endless options on, you know, based on that name Rose, and it makes a great middle name too. I think it really works as a strong first name as well, just because it is quite common as a middle name. It's nice to hear it used as a first name. Another one that's sort of inspired by a tree, Elma, E-L-M-A, Elma, so like the elm tree, but elm itself is a beautiful name to use as well. And there's Posie, very cute name, yeah, Posie, P-O-S-Y or P-O-S-I-E, depending on your preference. There's Rosemary, that's another variation of rose as well, but as a herb it sort of has a different meaning to simply just rose. Camelia, Dahlia, Peony, Hazel, Primrose, Daphne, Blossom. So these are all pretty standard flower names. They're not too uncommon, but I think that they really make great choices for girls' names. Just because, like, I don't know, they have that great energy to them, that natural sort of femininity, but also they have strength to them because they have that life, like they represent something that is living, a plant, a flower. So these are a few little different ones based on flowers as well. Hana, which is spelled differently to Hana, it's H-A-N-A, and that one is named in, you know, that name is developed in relation to the Persian shrub henna. Then there's Azalea, which actually I heard as a character's name in a Turkish drama, Azalea, but it has Greek and Hebrew origins, and azalea flowers are quite common, so you've probably seen them around, especially in summertime. Really beautiful bright colours, comes in pinks, whites. I've seen yellow and orange ones recently too, so yeah. This one is a nice one actually, and for people who are into arts and crafts, it's kind of a nice choice to tie in with that interest. It's Indigo. I read somewhere that it means from India, but I'm not sure about that. I think of it, maybe that's true, but when I hear it, I think of the plant that's used for dyeing that really deep, beautiful blue colour. And actually indigo was used as a sort of insecticide or a repellent for insects traditionally, especially in Japan. People would dye their clothes for summertime with indigo to ward off bugs, and in relation to that, to ward off the illnesses and diseases that bugs carry. So indigo, that's a great choice. Flora, very standard name, not too common, but I do know a couple of Floras who are sort of maybe 20 or 30 years older than me. I think it's a great name, Flora. I love names ending with A, so I'm a sucker for that one. Zinnia as well, that's something that's kind of quirky and sweet. Zinnia, Z-I-N-N-I-A, Zinnia, that's a type of flower too. If you like the name Jasmine but you're looking for something a little bit different, the name Yasmin is sort of coming back in popularity, and it's a Turkish variant on the name Jasmine, but I have seen it in other cultures too. So Y-A-S-M-I-N, Yasmin. That's a nice one. Okay, here's another really interesting one. So if you're really interested in using a name that's based around plants and the theme of plants, this is a Scandinavian one, and it's a name that relates to a lime tree or a small mountain flower, and it's Linnea. So again, similar to Zinnia, but it's Linnea. And this one, instead of with the I-A at the end, it's spelled L-I-N-N-E-A, Linnea. I guess it sounds a bit like linear, like in a line, but if you're all right with that, you know, cool. Olive is a classic, and that one is, you know, always been one of my favorite names. We think of Popeye when we think of olive, you know, olive oil, but it's a good choice. And the color as well is really popular over the last 3 years or so, that olive green, really earthy, grounded color. So those are the sorts of associations you're going to think of when you think of that name: earthy, grounded, feminine, strong, natural. Yeah. Now this one I actually didn't know was related to plants, which is kind of silly because I guess it's obvious, but Bryony, so B-R-Y-O-N-Y, Bryony, Bryony. That's a plant used in some folk medicine, especially in England, which I had no idea. So there you go, we learned something new. Here are some good ones. That's right, sorry, I'm just reading through my list. I've got it up on my other laptop here. So if you love the name Lily, but you're concerned about using a popular name, not that Lily is really that popular anymore, but if you want something a little different, but you know, you want to have the Lily as a namesake, then Calla is a good name. So I'm pronouncing that with my Australian accent, but it's Calla, which I guess, I don't know how anyone else would say it. I'm not going to go on interpreting names in different accents, but it's Calla, as in Calla lilies. They're good houseplants, so I managed to kill mine, but Calla lily, yeah, that's a really nice choice if you're interested again in the name Lily, but you don't want to stick with the standard name. Here are some other fun ones. So cinnamon, what else have we got? There's saffron and cherry. I love that one, cherry. And I'm just finding another one that's related to food. There we go, poppy. I actually know a few little girls called Poppy, and that's a good choice, I think. It's simple to spell. Again, I'm big on simple to spell names. I think I'm scarred from my own name. Not that mine was that bad, but you just hate having to spell it out all the time when you're on the phone to people. Sorry, my phone keeps slipping down. We will get a better system for this. All right. Here we go. Yeah, oh, here we go. These are the good ones, yeah. Ginger, honey, and yeah, so those are the ones around food. Ginger, honey, cherry, cinnamon, those sorts of saffron. I think they're kind of fun, yeah. What have we got? Sorrel, so Sorrel, sorrel. That's a very somber name and it's quite serious, but it has a strength and a beauty to it all on its own. That's cool. Aster is much more playful, I think, and that's a type of flower too. Aster is the one that I've got written down, but there are different versions of spelling that name. Bluebell, standard, I think we all know what bluebell flowers are. That's nice. Laurel, and a variation on Laurel is Lorelei, which then relates to the nickname Rory, which I think we all know from watching Gilmore Girls. Okay, what else have we got? Lilac. I think that's a really sweet name. Maybe a little strong with the ack sound at the end, but the lie at the front sort of balances that out. So it's 2 syllables, lilac, Lilac. It's good. Here we go. This is a really interesting one that I actually hadn't heard very much here on a girl. I had seen it used for boys before. It means heather meadow and it means Hadley. Sorry, it means heather meadow and the name is Hadley. So Hadley, Hadley. It's a nice variant, I guess similar to the name Haley, but it's got that more strength to it with the D, Hadley. Lavender. I think that's a really sweet name and I have seen it used more frequently now. I guess it's kind of like a bit long and maybe not typically seen as a name, but it's a beautiful plant and I think, yeah, I think it's a great name. Good choice. Abigail is a classic. That was a really trendy name when I was growing up. When I was like 5, I always wanted to have a daughter and call her Abigail. Belladonna. So that's another medicinal plant. Yeah, it's a really beautiful name. I like that. Sounds very glamorous. You expect belladonna to have a certain aura to her. Imagine meeting a belladonna. I don't know. I like it. Okay, so this one is funny. Well, not funny, but I don't know how you're going to feel about this. So the meaning of the name on its own means thorny patch. But it sounds like a really nice name. And if you pair it with other names, it can sort of take on a new meaning. So the name itself is Briar. And I think in the 90s, it was popular to use the name Briar with the middle name Rose. So it'd be Briar Rose, which means like a rose from the thorny patch. So you could play around with that. I think the name Briar is quite strong. And also I've seen it used as a namesake, like an option if you're wanting to name your daughter or a girl after Brian, somebody named Brian, then Briar is a great option. Okay, cassia, which is I guess you could pronounce it cassia, but I say cassia. It's a bush or a tree with yellow, sweet-smelling flowers. And then we have gardenia, garland, Ianthe. So this one is an interesting name. It's related to a traditional myth, and it was actually used by the poet Shelley for his own daughter, so Ianthe. In that traditional myth, Ianthe is the daughter of a ruler of the sea called Oceanus, and I guess you could use the name Oceana for a girl, but Oceanus was the ruler of the sea. His daughter was Ianthe, and Ianthe's mother was a Cretan woman, so from Crete, and she was so beautiful that when she died, the gods made purple flowers spring up around her grave. So Ianthe, that's got a really nice story to it, and I think it's like a strong choice. Sort of related to the name Xanthe in the sounds. I'm not sure about the relation in terms of myths and traditions, but there's something there. So yeah, Ianthe, Ianthe. I like that one. Okay, so this one has a bad rap after Harry Potter, but it's a really sweet name. It's Petunia. Yeah, I like it. What have we got here? Senna. So that, I think, has potential to become really popular, especially with names like Sienna, which is another name I've got on my list, and Sierra, another name on the list here, becoming quite popular over the past 5 years. If you love those names, but you want something a little bit different, then Senna, Senna, is a really strong name. It's a strong choice. So, and it means, well, it's a flowering bush popular in the tropics, and it has bright yellow flowers, and it's also used in herbal medicine. Okay, so what have we got here? Okay, here we go, into some of the more hippy dippy stuff. So what have we got? Dove, it's kind of nice. Fawn, obviously meaning a baby deer. And Gaia, Gaia, which means from the earth. I think that's kind of sweet. We've got Magnolia, which is one of my absolute favorite flowers. They come, I don't know if you know what they are, probably do, but I'm going to explain anyway. It's a big tree with beautiful white or port wine colored blooms. They only last for a few weeks every year. And the tree is just sort of blanketed in these giant, like as big as your hand flowers. And they're really like powdery to touch. They're really stunning. So Magnolia. And here's some more hippy dippy names that I love. Again, a Harry Potter sort of related name, Luna, Luna, obviously about the moon. But remember, all of these names like Petunia and Luna, they have histories that are longer than the history of Harry Potter. So keep that in mind. But I say that, you know, people are probably going to be loving Harry Potter for a while. Rain, River, Robin, Savannah, Sequoia, Sky. This is such a great name. It's not that common in Australia. I think it's common in the US for boys, but it's Sol, S-O-L, as in solstice, as in the sun. So I love that. Star, Spring, Storm, Sunny, Teal, and this one is great. My friend actually used this name as a part of her magazine. But anyway, it's the title of her magazine anyway. Terra, T-E-R-R-A. It means earth. It sounds like terror actually. I just realized. So like frightening. But it's spelt differently. T-E-R-R-A. So terra. I guess related to the word terracotta. Anyway. And there was a couple more that I had here. Oh yeah, so last but not least, this one is a little different. You may not have heard, oh, there's a couple more here. Yeah, this one's a little different. You may not have heard it before. I know I hadn't before I started researching for this list. It's a dainty Pacific orchid, and it's a Maori name. So from New Zealand, Maori. It blooms only around Christmas time. So if you love the idea of naming your daughter or a girl something, you know, around the time of year that she's born, or if you're just a really big fan of Christmas, but you're not keen on using the word holly for a name, then maybe this one's a good choice. It's Winika. So Winnie would be a good nickname here, or Win. W-I-N-I-K-E-R, Winika. Nice. So let's have a look. What were the other ones that I had here? Okay, yeah, so back to flowers. There's just a few more here, so bear with me. There's Clover, Daisy, Delphine, and so Delphinium is a bluebell-like flower, but it also, Delphine relates to the name dolphin, and some people say that with the popularity of Danielle sort of waning a little, it's been popular for a really long time, that Delphine may take over as more popular. It's a French name as well. There's Fleur, again, a character in Harry Potter, but I think it's a beautiful name and it stands on its own. French as well. Daffodil, Hyacinth, Marigold, and last but definitely not least, I had to throw a Polish name in there, just, you know, call out to my own heritage. So it means a flower, and it is Kalina. Kalina. Okay, so that's my list for today. I'll pop up in the notes below the proper list that I ran through, and a link through to a post on my blog with some more details about some of those names. I hope that you heard something that you like, or that you found it interesting and it wasn't just me rambling on for 20 minutes. But you know, it may very well be just me rambling on for 20 minutes. I had fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next list of boys' names around nature. Yeah, and send in any suggestions. Are there any girls' names related to nature that you thought of that I didn't include? Comment below, let me know. Like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Okay, bye!